The Wings' most recent game, Ace was able to have 24 points and get her shot, and the game kind of slowed down for her. How do you prevent a player that can shoot as well as Ace to make sure she doesn't have those type of things?
You just want to be disruptive to her looks. She's a really great player. We know she's a great shooter. So probably not a lot of easy looks early. You have limited shift on a player like that who has such a quick trigger and she's accurate. And look, when players get rolling and they get that confidence, which she's gotten, I think she's got a little swagger out there, which I like for her. They become a problem, and again, it's just pick up points. Multiple players for them can shoot it deep. She's one of them. So just making sure nothing's easy and wide open. We don't want AZ or Paige or Arike shooting horse shots on us. I mean, obviously, much improved team. They had a lot of great pieces. I think one thing that jumps out is Jessica Shepard's play. She kind of reminds me of Draymond Green, just that facilitator, do all that dirty work, get other people involved, and really the offense flows a lot through her from that 5-spot position. So she's somebody who definitely jumps out. And then obviously, the addition of AZ, just another weapon out there. I think Za has improved over this past year. She presents some problems coming in off the bench. So, just a really well-rounded team, especially offensively. If you don't guard them, they're going to ring up 120 on you. So we got to be on our P's and Q's defensively.
What's up, bros and besties? How's it going? Shout out to everyone, but especially Dallas Wings fans. This is another episode of Bitches Love Sports, and I'm really loud. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. I don't know if it was loud for y'all, but it was loud for me. But this is another episode of Bitches Love Sports. I'm your host, Jazz Monet, and I definitely owe y'all some content. Real quick, we're going to do some shout outs and call outs, and then we're going to get into the good stuff. So shout out to the San Antonio Spurs for advancing to the NBA Finals. It's been a long time coming for them. And yeah, I feel like there's some time-related accolades that go along with that, like a certain number of years or something that it's been since the Spurs have gotten there, and some things that go along with Wembanyama's age and whatnot. But I don't have notes tonight. So we're just going to say shout out to the San Antonio Spurs. Also, shout out to Arsenal for a great season, Arsenal FC over in London. And shout out to the competitors in the French Open. Coco Gauff has been eliminated, unfortunately. But Francis Tiafoe won a super tough match yesterday. I believe Naomi Osaka is still in. And then I think some of the well-known ones like Sabalenka are still in there. So shout out to them. But I do have a call out today. And the call out is for me. So I messed up. That's why I did not do a recap after that win with the Dallas Wings over the Las Vegas Aces. So if y'all remember from my last episode, I was telling y'all that I have like a gluten allergy, and it basically was wreaking havoc on my sinuses, on my throat, everything, sore throat, losing my voice, everything. So sorry, I'm gonna figure out which button to press so y'all don't hear me cough. Basically, the day of the game between the Wings and the Aces, I should not have been talking. And not only was I talking all day, but I did the post game with Kev. And if you saw it, you might have noticed how bad my voice was, because my throat was so sore I could not even talk at my normal pitch. I'm not talking at my normal pitch right now, but that night I was like down here with it. It was so bad. And so the next day, the day that I would normally do my recap, I basically, my vocal cords were cooked. And so fast forward to Saturday, I go to Wings practice. So yesterday I go to Wings practice, get some great sound from Wings practice. But then on the way home, I find myself in a coughing fit. I end up congested again. Could not go live yesterday. So here I am. And I'm sorry, I owe y'all content. But to make up for not discussing the Aces game with y'all, first of all, we are still going to discuss it in some regard. But I also have some extra bonus content for you guys. So we'll get into that. So we are going to listen to the post game sound from after the Aces, even though that was days ago. We're still going to listen to it, and then we're going to listen to Arike Ogunbowale from today, Coach from yesterday, Coach from today, and then Paige Bueckers from yesterday. So if y'all know somebody who likes Dallas Wings content, if y'all know somebody who wants to hear some more Paige Bueckers and Arike Ogunbowale content, or some Coach Jose Fernandez content, send them this link. Tell them to join us. Also, if you look at my channel, you may have noticed that I've added memberships, and we're going to talk a little bit. Actually, no, we can talk about the memberships right now. We'll talk about them now and later. So first of all, you need to make sure that you turn on gifts for this channel. So you can do that by pressing the join button, and then there's an option to accept gifts from this channel. And so that way, if I give away free memberships, you can be eligible to receive one. Um, but the video that you saw at the beginning of this particular stream, that was of Coach Becky Hammond, head coach of the Las Vegas Aces. That was from pregame, obviously. She had glowing things to say about AZ and Jess and Isaiah, and Paige and Arike before the game. After the game, I was told, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I was told she had a lot to say about the refs. All I'll say about that is I think there should be a new rule, because if you're going to get fined anyway, I think if you're going to criticize the refs, you should have at least like one solid example of what you're talking about. And part of the reason that I say that is um because it's like she was critical of the free throws, and it was mainly that. It was just like the free throw disparity. But I remember watching that game, and it's like the Wings were physical, but not in a way that would cause them to get a lot of calls, in my opinion. Now, they did a couple of things that definitely earned them the calls that they got, but I just feel like instead of just being like, "Hey, they got more free throws than us," you should be like, "Okay, this was a situation, and that was a situation, and that was a situation where it should have been called and it wasn't." Because I'm like, you're gonna get fined anyway, so call them out. Give us the tape, give us the analysis, tell us when it happened. Otherwise it just sounds like you're upset that you lost. And I hate to bring that kind of criticism on Becky Hammond, but that is, it gives that kind of energy. Anyway, I brought up the Becky Hammond sound because that was from pregame. So one of the things that you'll get with the membership to this channel is if I go to shoot around or pregame press conferences for Dallas Wings home games, and you're a member, you'll get access to that content. So that section of what you heard from Becky Hammond, that was just like a minute or so of several minutes of an interview that she did before the game. Coach Jose Fernandez also always does a pregame press conference. Um, who else did I talk to at Shoot Around? There was footage from Shoot Around that you would have access to. And then we also talked to Alicia Gray, Isaiah James, Asia Wilson, and um, I said Alicia Gray. This is the second time I did that. We talked to Alicia Clark of the Dallas Wings and Chelsea Gray of the Las Vegas Aces. Sorry. Not only do allergies fuck up your throat, like just having to deal with all that can make you tired. Let me tell you how many times I've woken myself up coughing. Anyway, so yes, Alicia Clark, Isaiah James, Asia Wilson, and Chelsea Gray, we talked to at Shoot Around. There was content from the Shoot Around. And then we also got the pregame press conferences. So that's all things that you can get access to through the membership. So if it's something that I'm not putting in the recap and you just want to hear that extra footage, those extra interviews, you can get that. So like I said, turn on your gifts, and if you want to, just go ahead and join. That way you don't have to wait and see if you get picked. Just join. We have one level for the membership right now. All right. That being said, let's get into the good stuff. So last time on Dallas Wings 2026, the Dallas Wings were going into a game against the Las Vegas Aces that a lot like the game against the New York Liberty. Sorry, the Wi-Fi went out for a while and I tried to use my mobile hotspot and it was not strong enough to run this stream. So, here we are. And y'all left a few comments in the chat that I'm gonna look at before we get back to what we were talking about. Y'all apparently have a problem with the recap. I hope y'all are not basing that judgment off of a game where she was sick, because that would just be terrible. Like, that would be like judging me off these last few streams when I've been suffering terribly from allergies. I don't even sound like myself. I don't feel like myself. I haven't even put the amount of preparation into these streams that I normally like to put into it, because even though I'm not like, I don't have like fevers, body aches, chills, whatever, but when you're not 100%, it affects you. Uh, the game against the Aces, Arike was questionable, played anyway, didn't play that many minutes, not for her, didn't do well because she was ill. Um, and now people on the internet want her to lose her job. That is wild. Um, sorry. If I laugh, it can spontaneously turn into a cough. So I truly apologize for accidentally coughing in y'all's ear. But thanks for sticking around. We're going to get back to the topic at hand, which is the Dallas Wings. And since that took so long, let's go ahead and jump into some of the stats and information from that last game. Give me 1 second. I'm having to set everything up again. All right. So, main stat. Dallas Wings won by a score of 95-87 over the Las Vegas Aces. If you look at the first half and second half, and especially quarter by quarter, you can kind of see how the game went. The Las Vegas Aces had a solid performance in the first half. They were definitely winning the first half. And whether or not the Wings could come back in the second half was questionable. It was. Um, the energy in the arena was ridiculous, though, especially when they started playing Thunderstruck at the beginning of the game. Oh, boy. And there were some shots that went in. Like, I thought the arena was going to explode. Like, I thought that I was impressed because I had only been covering the Wings like in person for a couple years, but there are people who work for the Dallas Wings and who have been there for like 4 years, 5 years, and they were like, "We've never seen the crowd like this." It was bananas. So, yeah, first half, Aces did their thing. Second half, not so much. They scored 19 in the third quarter and only 15 in the fourth quarter. And that was a big part of the reason why the Aces were able to catch up and ultimately win the game. Um, so the Aces shot for 44%, 40% from beyond the arc, 58% at the free throw line. So I guess technically it's questionable. Even if they did get more free throws as was desired, would they have actually been able to get the points they were hoping to get with it? The Wings, on the other hand, 49% shooting, 45% from beyond the arc, 86% on their free throws. They did really well in that regard. Now, in terms of the number of free throws, I can see what Becky Hammond was saying. The Aces only had 12 and the Wings had 22. But like I said, that's the point at which if you're going to go to the press about it, hey, give some examples. What wasn't called that should have been? Or for the Wings, what was called that should not have been? Um, but outside of that, a lot of the stats were relatively even. So rebounds, 33 compared to 39. That's like, yeah. Um, and then the actual personal fouls, the Aces had 15 and the Wings had 16. So when it comes to the number of fouls, it looks like they were about even. But for whatever reason, the free throws just didn't fall that way. And as you know, it was a starting night for one AZ Fudd. She was finally starting. And there was actually, during the pregame press conference, there was a moment where Coach Jose actually told us that she was going to be starting. Um, Someone asked a question. You could tell they were trying not to use the word rotation or the word minutes, but they asked a question about AZ starting. And he basically said, well, AZ was going to be starting either way. So even, hold on. Even if Atlanta hadn't been ill, AZ was going to be starting. AZ started in place of Odyssey Sims, basically. And it was Maddie who actually got bumped up because Atlanta was out. So there's that. And I actually need to look at the injury report for tomorrow because there are a couple of players who might be out tomorrow. I think they're still questionable at this point. So we'll look at that later. Anyway, um, yesterday I was questionable and ruled out myself because of my voice. Tonight I'm on limited minutes. So let me go ahead and pull up the first round of press conferences so we can get into that and we'll talk about some of what was said. Oh, this is frustrating. I had everything set up and the Wi-Fi decided to act weird. Felt like I'm being sabotaged tonight. All right, here we go. Jess, in pregame, Becky Hammond compared you to Draymond Green. So I was just curious if you've ever made that comparison yourself or seen any similarities between your game and his.
No, I mean, I think he's a player that's a champion many times for a reason, and he's willing to do whatever the team needs to win. So, in comparisons to that aspect of his game, yes. I think other aspects, maybe I can score a little better than him. But I like you, Draymond. Oh,
Paige, in that stretch in the fourth quarter where you guys got the lead, were kind of adding to the league, it felt like the crowd was getting more and more into it with each basket. Have you felt a moment like that in this place, like in your career so far? And what did that stretch feel like as you guys were just getting, it felt like whatever basket you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really remember a time where it's gotten that loud and that electric. It felt like, I mean, I could actually hear them in a game. Usually, like in basketball, like you're tuned out to that. You're super locked in, so you can't even hear it. But to feel that momentum and to feel the crowd behind us like that, it gave us a lot of energy and it gave us a boost. And I know it was tough. It's definitely tough for opponents when the arena is cheering for you that loud. But it felt really good to just feed off of that energy and get stops and scores.
And then when you were just like the way that you guys just could make shot after shot, like what did that feel like? I guess that offensive play you were able to establish in that stretch.
Good. I feel like we really moved the ball. We got on transition, got a lot of buckets that way, and we wanted to use our endurance and how well of shape we think that we're in to push through the fourth quarter. And when you have like playmakers like this on the floor sitting next to me and scorers and people that can Jess can bring the ball up, alleviate some pressure, and just make plays. And then AZ made plays. Everybody came in and contributed to this win. So it was really good to just play off of each other and feed off each other like that.
So real quick comments before we move on. The question that you heard me ask at the beginning of this, where I asked Jess about how she felt about being compared to Draymond Green. So like I was explaining earlier, that was from Coach Becky Hammond's pregame press conference. And the way she explained it, in case you didn't catch the intro to this particular stream, she said that Jess does the dirty work and she's a facilitator at the 5 spot. So that was a comparison that she made between her and Draymond Green. But it's just funny thinking about some of his other more like intangible qualities and thinking about Jess Shepard if she were to embody those. That would really be interesting. And what Paige just said about just being a facilitator and them being playmakers, I think that's going to be a big part of the storyline for this next part of the season, just because those are things that I think other teams weren't really privy to going into the beginning of the regular season. Like, AZ already acknowledged that she was like, people think I'm a 3-point shooter and they think that's what I do, but there's so much more to my game. She's been putting that on display. She's even been open about some of the aspects of her game and how they end up manifesting. She was talking about how when she was having a better night in terms of 3-point shooting, it was when she was more patient, which kind of lets you know that some of the quick release stuff that she does in terms of finding her spot quickly and releasing from like wherever, including mid range, that is just a result of her feeling rushed and still being efficient. Fascinating. But Jess and her history as a point guard and her ability to see the floor, to make passes, and what Coach Jose is going to talk about later in terms of her being able to initiate the offense and let other people at other positions be the rim runners, that's definitely going to come into play. It's going to come into play as a tool for the Dallas Wings. It's also going to come into play in terms of teams figuring out ways to slow that down and stop it.
Jessica, at what point did you realize it was going to be a historic night for you? How were you feeling on the court? When did you feel it coming? And how do you feel about making that history tonight?
You know, I didn't feel it. If you knew how I felt in warm-ups, this is a shock. So, no, I mean, I think in the second half, I felt that we, were picking up the momentum and, yeah, I didn't feel it.
How do you feel about making that history, though? Like, what are you thinking? 22?
I'm thinking that we won. For me, these things don't really matter so much. I came here to, help this organization win and, kind of take that next step. So I'm just proud of this team for, being able to come back and beat a team like Las Vegas tonight. Micah?
AZ, what did it feel like you could see the smile on your face when your name was being called pregame? What was that moment like to run out on the court for the first time as a starter? And did they make you dance there at the tail end? Did they make you get in the middle of the circle and dance?
They did make me do that. But obviously it's amazing. Anytime I can step on the floor with this group, it's an honor and I don't take it lightly. So again, to be on the floor, whether it's coming off the bench, starting, I'm super grateful.
You guys held Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young to 9 of 30 shooting overall. Talk about how you guys were able to frustrate them so much and make it really difficult for them on the offense then.
Who's that for?
All three.
Well, first of all, those are elite scorers, and sometimes in this league it's a make or miss. So they hit really tough shots. We just try to do our best to make them as tough as possible. They use screens really well. They get you on your back, and they play to that advantage. And our bigs did a great job. We adjusted in the second half of being more up to touch and being more up in the ball screens. And especially with Kay, she just is so long that she can guard two at times. So to play between whoever's in the ball screen, whether it be Jackie or Chelsea, and probably Asia setting it, that's huge. And to have people like that anchor our defense, and we just try to fight through the screens and fight all night long to make things tough for them. But those two are two of the best in the league, and so on any given night they could have got hot.
Go, Melissa.
So just commenting on that for a second. When it comes to how the Wings slowed down the scoring of the Las Vegas Aces, I really feel like that was more impactful than anything that happened with fouls or free throws, especially because of the timing of it. So not only did they slow down Chelsea Gray, but even Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter was shooting 100% for almost the entire first half. She didn't miss a shot until late in the first half. And then in the second half, I mean, she didn't get as many minutes for whatever reason in the second half, but she also just wasn't as effective in terms of scoring in attempts or makes. Like, she didn't attempt that many shots, and she also didn't make the shots that she attempted. And so everything that Paige just mentioned, especially with a walk's length, I think was a factor because that, what did he say? 9 of 30? Hold on, let me go back to the box score just to make sure I don't get anything wrong here. So Chelsea Gray, 2 of 10 on field goals and 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. Asia Wilson, 10 of 24 on field goals, made the 1 3-pointer that she attempted. Jackie Young, 7 of 20, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. So a lot of the misses that are accounted for in those stats came like later in the game. That's why you see in the third and fourth quarter, it was 19 in the third for the Aces, 15 in the fourth for the Aces. It was because the Wings kind of figured out what to do and adjusted accordingly, and it made a big difference. But there was literally a point where I turned to the person next to me and I was like, why does it feel like they got all the long wingspan people out on the court right now? Because there was a point during the game, and this is also another reason why I believe there weren't a lot of calls against the Wings that brought the Aces to the line, was because there was literally a section during the game where everything that the Wings were doing in order to disrupt the Aces offense, it was like arms outstretched, hands outstretched. They weren't really like getting into their bodies. Like, they weren't getting physical in terms of like getting close to them. It was a lot of vision obstruction. It was a lot of obstruction of passing lanes. I think there were a few steals and blocks in there. Yeah, a couple of steals. No, one steal, a few blocks. But several turnovers that happened. Um, but yeah, there was just a lot of obstruction of vision and just kind of stopping them from getting to where they wanted to go, or at least comfortably being able to move the ball around.
Jessica, obviously 22 and 20 alone would be a great game, but adding the 10 assists and it makes it something really special. It seems like you had a lot of success with that backdoor cut. What were you reading that the defense was doing that enabled you to hit that time after time?
Yeah, I mean, when you have great scorers and great shooters, you kind of have to pick what you're going to give away as a defense. So, obviously they didn't want them to be able to come off and shoot, and Paige was doing a great job of just reading that and getting the backdoor cut. And then when you have AZ or Arike coming off that pin, it puts the defense in a really difficult situation.
This is for AZ, 24 in Brooklyn, 22 tonight. Of course, the game has slowed down for you, but what are some other things that you've been able to feel better about on the court?
I think just feeling more comfortable each game, being aggressive, first of all, not hesitating when I'm open, when Jess and Kay and them set me great screens, not hesitating to use them. But I think just reading what the game's given me, not ever trying to force to score, but just be aggressive.
For all three of you, the win in New York, now this win tonight against a team that's the defending champions, it would be real easy for you to have a huge swell of confidence off of the last couple of games. Where are you right now from a confidence perspective, and what, I know we're not even a quarter away through the season, so I don't want to get too far down the path of like making a statement or anything along those lines, but do you feel like you've at least made it known that, hey, this is a different team in 2026?
Obviously confidence is huge in this league, but also is staying humble, and knowing that not one win is our win today isn't going to carry us to win on Monday. Like, we have to bring it every single day of practice, every single day of recovery, every single day in the weight room, and every single game that we step out on the floor. There is a standard that we want upheld, and there's an identity on both sides of the floor that we want to continue to keep building. But I think we're so focused on who we are today, who we're going to be tomorrow, who we're going to be the next day, that we're just staying present and knowing that game eight of a long season isn't going to get us to the playoffs. But we want to continue to build from game to game, continue to get better, continue to stay humble and hungry.
I love that response from her. And I had to go back and listen to it because I realized, and y'all will hear it, the question that I asked her yesterday was pretty much like a reiteration of this question. But the question that I asked her was about whether or not they had a chip on their shoulder. And the reason why I asked was because, one, I never really expect a certain answer. It's not that I thought they necessarily should. I was just curious if they did, or if anybody would talk about it if they did, just because going into the game against the Aces, when I was looking at some of the pregame content that was out, it really felt like there was so much emphasis on the Aces and the presumption that this was going to be a bounce back game for them after they had lost to the Sparks. And you can kind of tell by who gets interviewed, who gets the player spotlights, and definitely by a lot of the things that people say, whether it's like online, on the broadcast, written, whatever, what the expectation is for a game. And I felt like the Dallas Wings would be justified in having a chip on their shoulder after winning those two games and basically proving a lot of people wrong in terms of what they're capable of, or in terms of how much they developed at this point in the season. But I like that she made a direct reference to where they are in the season as far as it being game 8, because that is facts. Like, I think for fans, for Dallas Wings fans, it's easy to get caught up in oh my goodness, look at this momentum. Oh my goodness, they're ranked number 4 in the standings for the first time in forever. However, this is a WNBA. You can fuck around and end the season 5-39 if you're not focusing on yourself, if you're not continuing to develop, to grow, and focus on the things that make your team run, that make your systems run. Especially when injuries happen, when illnesses happen, when other teams start to get a hang of what you're doing, start to get a better handle on what your weaknesses are. Because I think right now some of the strengths of the Dallas Wings, just like I said earlier, there's still a little bit of a mystery. So as the word gets out, we're gonna see people approach the Dallas Wings a little bit differently than what we saw in these first 8 games.
This is a question for anyone.
y'all have a new coach, new roster this year. People were arriving to camp late. What do you feel like has just helped this team click so early on in the season? Jess?
I think we have good people in the locker room. I think when you have a group of good people, it's easy to connect off the court, and then that kind of carries on the court as well. So I think they just did a great job of, we have a very good young core, and they brought in some older vets that can really, lead us every day. Like AC today was huge. She's a plus 11 in 18 minutes, but it's her insight that she's able to share every day. It helps us build as a team. And so I think, just having great people can lead to a lot on the court.
Paige, just yesterday, you referred to guarding the paint as the team's kryptonite. What have y'all been focusing on over the last couple of days, especially from a mental standpoint, to keep that from spoiling the night for you?
Just being connected and less worried about our man and less worried about what our player is going to do but guarding the ball. Tonight is huge. I mean, going against Asia and guards that can get into the paint at will, to shrink the floor, to build a wall, to be in gaps, to try to make everything tough and take tough twos, mid-range twos, some contested threes, and just contesting the paint. So for us to be more connected, us staying disciplined in what we want our defensive identity to be, and that's to protect the paint better. I think that's what our emphasis is from game to game. Two more.
You all do play a very guard-heavy scheme. What is that like for you, Jessica, to have? How are you staying ready for big nights like this when you all rely so heavily on the 1 and 2?
I mean, I think, the league in general is a guard-heavy league. So, just playing, in so many different systems throughout my career, kind of has allowed me to adapt really quick. And also, the advantage of having great guards is it alleviates pressure for the bigs. So, if you set a great screen, they have to pick between the two of you. So, yeah.
Last one, Dorothy.
Hey, she threw an insane pass to Jessica, like from all the way across the court. Do you remember when you did it? Flew all the way across.
Yeah, I remember the first one too that went straight to Chelsea.
That's the right idea.
I mean, that was insane. Talk about just that court vision you had, and then she made the layup. So
yeah, I owe Jess a few after tonight. I smoked some layups. She probably could have had 15 assists. So I was just trying to. And then the first half, the ball completely got away from me, and she was running the floor great. So to be able to reward that, just her hard work and the way she rebounds and the way. It's hard for us as guards to get rebounds because she steals them all. So we're in the paint battling. She comes out of nowhere and grabs them all. So for us to reward her and all her hard work, the way she rim runs, the way she screens for us, just trying to reward that. She does so much for this team. So to be able to get her an easy one when she runs the floor like that, it's rewarding.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So yeah, I know y'all heard my voice on that question. I was not lying when I said I should not have been talking on Thursday. Anyway, what Paige just mentioned about just getting the ball off the glass and how that kind of sets up the rest of the offense for success. That is actually going to be referred to again by Coach Jose, because he actually told us today that he said most teams actually prefer for their bigs to do the rim running, but he said he actually likes the way the offense functions when Jess gets the rebound and everybody else runs to the other end of the court. So you'll hear him kind of describe how he wants that to go. But when Jess said that's my job, like she's literally like, no, that's my job. Coach said that's my job. All right. I think because of the snafu with the Wi-Fi that made this stream run long already, I think I'm gonna skip Coach's post game, especially since we have 2 videos from him from practice from yesterday and today. But I want to look at what y'all are saying in the comments. Okay, so Timothy Wayne says Arike has always been inefficient. I'm cool trading her because I really don't like the 3-guard lineup to begin with, because Paige has to go on threes and I don't like that part of it. I mean, that is fair enough. Like, if that is your reason for not liking Arike, that's fair enough. I guess my issue with some commentary, I won't say necessarily with your comment, because while I agree basically on just wanting to see Arike traded, I can't disagree with facts, right? But I I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for Enrique to bounce back. For in my mind, I'm counting the fact that she wasn't at training camp, and then this past game where she could have maybe bounced back from some bad games in terms of shooting, she was sick. So in my mind, I'm like, I want to see more before I say something like trade Arike. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I want to see her healthy and having time with the team, because we've already seen other players who weren't at training camp or other players who were new to this roster and how they've developed over time. There are aspects of AZ's game, aspect of Jess's game that we're just now getting acquainted with because of how they're gelling and how they're building chemistry, right? So I guess that kind of thing is what I want to see, and I don't expect it to happen at the same time for everybody. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I was waiting to see Arike do better. I'm not gonna act like she's been awesome, especially in terms of shooting. Like, I even called it out after the Liberty win because I think Wander was in the chat and was like 5 of 20 Jazz. And I was like, 5 of 20 what? And I was like, oh. And that's worse than 33%, right? So I am looking for her to bounce back. And if she doesn't, then yeah, everybody is justified in the criticism, right? But as for right now, and my criticism of her right now, and the trade Arike train right now, I'm just not ready to hop on that train yet, personally. But like I said, facts are facts. So if that is your basis, hey, there are a lot of people who agree with you. Um, Several of them are in the chat. I'm seeing several comments that are like 33%. Oh goodness. I know Enrique has fans. Where are the Enrique fans? Why are so many Enrique haters in the chat? I know there's some people out there who love Arike Ogunbowale. Your assistance is needed in the chat. Y'all can form a support group. Um, Farrell Merrill says Paige is setting the tone. Everybody's singing off the same sheet music and being hungry. She's stopped subbing and backdooring like rock. She learns instantaneously. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a compliment. So yay, Paige. Ooh, I almost knocked my phone off. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to skip Coach's post game from after the Aces because I can't think of any particular quote that we absolutely need to listen to. And the most important part of this story, because there are different types of journalists out there, right? As a journalist covering the Wings, I feel like it's my job to just like tell the story of the team. That is like my whole goal, is to just tell the story of this team. I got to cover them last year, and so now I'm just like, okay, this is a team that's trying to bounce back from a really bad season. They got some of the same pieces, they got some new ones, they got a new coach. Let's see what happens. So we're going to go. What order did I say? I said we're gonna go Arike first. Oh Lord. Arike first. Then we got a video of Coach from yesterday, Coach from today, and then we're gonna end with Paige from yesterday, because of some good points that she made that I want to end on. So, like I said, Wi-Fi ruined my setup. So let me pull up this video again. This is just gonna take a second. Where is it? Okay. Oh, it's in here. It's in here. All right, got it, got it, got it. How you doing?
It's so quiet. It's so weird.
Can I start with my non-basketball question? So you've been open about the fact that you're a soccer fan. Are you excited about the World Cup festivities coming to town? Will you get to enjoy any of it?
I know I got to check the schedule to see if it aligns with our schedule, but I'm definitely going to try to get out there. I'm definitely excited to watch.
Cool, cool.
The Commissioner's Cup starts tomorrow. I know the money was a huge driving factor in years past, but now that you guys are making a little bit more, is it still like a point of pride or something that matters?
Yeah, no matter how much money you get, it's always good to make more money. So definitely that's always a motivation.
On that note, I was looking at your rookie year salary was less than what someone paid for Paige's debut jersey. Can you speak to just the growth of the game, the investment in the game, both from inside and the fan base?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, rookie contracts were really, really small. Like if you didn't have another job, you had to get one or you wouldn't be able to survive. But now obviously this can be your main source of income. Even without endorsements, you'll be okay with just your W contract. So that makes endorsements even better. Just having generational wealth for yourself and your family is definitely special.
What are some keys tomorrow against Seattle?
Just handle business. Obviously, Coach was saying, and we know that we're not a surprise to teams anymore. They know they have to bring their best game when they play us, but we have to bring our best game when we play other teams too. No matter what the record in the WNBA, you saw Connecticut was 1-7. They just got to win. Like any given night, anybody can win because everybody's a really good player. Every team has really great players. There's a lot of great coaches in the W right now, so we definitely want to focus on us and go handle business, but we need to know that they obviously have players over there that are very capable if they're playing well and we're not to beat us. So, just focus on ourselves, guard, share the ball. I think we'll be okay.
Speaking of, okay, I'm gonna pause there for a second, and I don't really have much to say about what she just said because that felt like a very standard answer. What are the keys against tomorrow's opponent? It's like, oh, we need to. She didn't say play our game, but it felt like a very play our game type of answer. But I want to shout out Grant from Dallas Hoops Journal and Melissa from Sports 9. And the reason why is because, and y'all will hear it, they carried most of this interview. And even though they're talking about the growth of the W and the fact that, tomorrow is a Commissioner's Cup game and all that, we got to work on coverage of the WNBA because I haven't had time to watch Seattle, obviously. And as I'm looking for more content, just to understand what they've been doing this season, they just lost to the Toronto Tempo. I can see that, but I'm looking at the box score. Nothing stands out. Who has good analysis? It was so hard to find anything legitimate. And don't get me started on Google AI. Um, anyway, I'm still at a phase where I get stuck when I don't know a lot about the opponent. But Grant and Melissa, they were like ready. Plus, like I said, struggling with the allergies. So half of my brain was just focused on don't cough on Arike. And when you have days like that, when you're not 100%, you're not thinking like as quick as you normally do. It is so dope to have other people with like high levels of ball knowledge in the scrum with you who can make sure that you get good sound even if you aren't 100%. So shout out to them. The Wings are number 4 in the standings right now. Is that something that you think about, or is it something you try not to think about?
It's not a try not to think about. If I see it, I see it. But we're 8 games in, so we could have been number 1, and we still shouldn't let that sway anything. How we approach every day. We're going to approach every day the same. Whether we're last, first, fourth, it doesn't matter. We're going to approach every game, every practice, with intention and focus. But we just got to keep getting better, keep stacking wins.
Las Vegas is a team that.
Okay, so that was the type of answer I expected her to give. However, part of me did kind of hope she'd be a little bit excited because before we were let into practice, we were literally trying to figure out when was the last time the Dallas Wings were ranked this high in the standings. And I was like, when was the last time they were number 4 or higher? Like, when was the last time they were top 5? And someone else they were like, oh, well, they haven't had a winning record in like years, So I'm like, okay, here you are with a winning record. Like Arike's a vet. So she's like, been there through it all. So now you have a winning record. You're, high up in the standings. So I'm just like, yeah, by all means, understand, kind of like Paige said, the humble and hungry mentality. By all means, stay focused on what's next. Don't get caught up in your record 8 games into the season. But I mean, it's got to feel a little exciting because even though earlier I was like, yeah, you can fuck around and go 5-39. But I feel like with this group, that's just unlikely. So I'm just like, just a little bit of excitement. But I mean, she gave the type of professional veteran answer I definitely expected. So I'm not really mad at it. I was just hoping for like a smile or something.
That likes to play the pace, kind of like you guys have been playing. Seattle tends to want to play more in the half court, even with some injuries. What defensively does that challenge bring?
Say that again.
No, I worded that terribly.
No, you're good.
Compared to playing Vegas, it's plays fast like you guys want to play. Seattle's more of a half-court team, and they've gotten a couple players out that might impact that tomorrow night. But how does that playing half-court defense change what you guys are trying to do?
Honestly, I think our half-court defense is pretty good. like we're able to talk, we're able to rotate, but obviously we don't want their pace to change our pace. We want to keep playing fast. If they want to slow it down, we get up in them, maybe make them play faster than what they want to do. But like I said, our main focus is focus on ourselves, focus on our strengths, and trying to slow down what they do best.
Okay, so what she just said about making them play fast, I feel like is going to be key. One, because it's a strength of the Wings and they do it really well. Two, because what I was able to figure out about Seattle in the little bit of research I did, just like watching clips, listening to their post game interview, trying to decipher their last few losses, what exactly happened. I really feel like their their slow pace is a big part of what happened. And I might pull up the box score if we decide to dive deep into it, but their shot percentage, although it was lower than the Toronto tempo, and I'm just basically using that game as a case study, um, it wasn't so much lower that they couldn't have made up for it in some other way, right? And so I was listening to their post game press conference, and one of the players said something about their number of possessions, and I realized they like to play a lot of half court, right? And so playing in half court, that means your pace is a little bit slower. That means you're waiting for things to get set up, whereas Dallas, they really focus on doing things with their transition. They like the rim runners. They like catching the defense off guard. And so I feel like Seattle's game plan, at least I'm assuming their game plan would be to slow the Wings down, force them to play more of their style, right? And some teams have been somewhat successful in that, not getting Dallas to like switch to half court necessarily, but when you can disrupt Dallas's offense, throw off the pace, throw off the timing, make it difficult for them to get to that second action, stuff like that, which Arike has actually talked about earlier in the season, that's when you can disrupt the scoring, where not only are they making fewer attempts, but they're making less efficient attempts. They're not getting the high percentage shots, right? But if Dallas can push the pace, which it can be weird, right? When there's a fight for the pace of the game, that can make things awkward. That can make the timing feel awkward. But if Dallas can focus on keeping the game fast, I don't think they'll have any problems against Seattle. Once again, I'm saying this from not watching many full games, but based on what I've seen, read, and tried to watch, I do think that'll be a key for them.
Coach had talked about pace and then also getting to the second action as well offensively. Just what are some of those internal things that this team can maybe continue to grow in, like kind of game by game?
Yeah, definitely second action. I mean, I think all teams in the league are pretty good defending first action. That's why you have scouts. That's why you go through different plays that teams like to do. But I think when we, swing the ball side to side, like there's always going to be a breakdown. Even with us, when teams go back and forth, like there's always a breakdown. So if we can get, a switch of the side once or twice throughout a possession, I think we'll be okay.
You talked glowingly about the playbook that Jose has and how many different opportunities there are for you guys as you're kind of getting to almost 20% of your season down. How comfortable are you with all of the new terms and actions?
Yeah, I'm comfortable, and he still has more to put in. So like we just put little stuff in day by day, and like I said, it's a long season. We're about to be at the 20% mark, but that's still a long way to go. So just obviously not giving us everything right now because it's a long season. Maybe there's stuff that we're going to put in. Hopefully we get to the playoffs and then we can add some more stuff there. But just throughout the season, listening to what he has, putting new things in so we're not predictable. But, yeah, he has a deep playbook.
How helpful is it having Jessica Shepard to be unpredictable? Because Jose yesterday talked about how her initiating the offense and kind of being that playmaker is another area you can add more layers to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously traditionally like post rebound and get it to the point guard or get it to a guard to push the break, but when you can take out that couple seconds of waiting to find a guard to go and she can just go, like we can get into our spots and she can initiate the offense. That's definitely another angle of attack that we have that maybe not a lot of teams do.
You guys are leading the league in three-point percentage right now. How much has that also opened up what you can do offensively?
Yeah, we have shooters. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, did they need another guard? We did need another guard, and we got one of the best shooters in the country. I think the best shooter in the country. So just having her be able to space the floor, myself, Paige, just having, shooting from that. And then, our posts, like Kay can shoot it well. Maddie can shoot it well. Like Jess and Land, they can hit the mid-range. So just having, like, shooters and from all angles is really good.
Thanks for
All right. Another compliment for Jess's versatility. And also, when she said best shooter in the world, I'm assuming she's talking about AZ. So here's a fun story. Today at practice, me and Melissa were actually trying to break down AZ's release. And I told her I was going to share this with y'all. So I was like, I'm gonna give you credit. So Melissa from Sports 9 kind of noticed this first, but she was like, yeah, I think AZ doesn't really dip the way the other players do. I think that's why she is able to release the ball so quick. And I'm like, really? And I start looking and I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. The other day, she was saying that when she learned how to, or when she was really working on her 3-point shot, it was while she was hurt in high school. And so she learned, or she developed her 3-point shot through stationary shooting. And if it was her leg that was hurt, she wouldn't be dipping the same way that we see, most players like dip and then release, right? And so we start comparing, and she was in a group with Arike and Paige. I should pull up this video for y'all. I think I have it uploaded on the computer. But she was in a group with Arike and Paige, and they were like catch, dip, shoot. And whenever she would catch, she had a slight bend in her knees when she would catch the ball. Like, she wasn't like lock legged or lock kneed when she would catch it. So she had a slight bend when she would catch the ball, but it's like she would catch and bring her outside foot in at the same time and just instantly release. So you could almost think of it as like a lot of players have almost like a 3-step shooting pattern when they're receiving a pass, like catch, dip, shoot. And hers is like 2 steps. It's like catch, shoot. And so it's easy to see, but we were like really breaking down why, and just like being able to watch her shoot over and over again while the other players are shooting. We're like, oh, we see it. And so that was a pretty dope thing to catch. And someone in the comments also said, I love Grant and Melissa too. Yeah, they really are dope people. And Melissa shared online how she likes talking to Jose about basketball. Um, he is fun to talk to. Once you can get past some of the stuff that he doesn't really like to talk about, which um lineups, rotation, minutes, like we figured that out. Like, don't ask about those things. He'll tell us when he wants us to know. So yeah, I'm trying to see what else y'all are saying. Um Latasha says Arike isn't the one I think needs to be traded soon. Mm. I can think of someone else, but I'll leave it alone. I wonder if it's the same person I've heard. There's speculation about the odds of a certain person being traded, not necessarily soon. And I don't think it's somebody most people want to see go. I think there are just some people who expect this person to be traded. And I'm curious if it's the same person. Blasian couple, what up? You made it to a live stream. Said, I don't have a problem with Enrique so long as she's playing with Paige and AZ. Fair. They can cover her inefficiency, but she provides a threat offensively, which is a mismatch for everyone. Yeah, I agree. Defenses, they operate differently when Enrique is on the court. And there's not really a stat for that. There's nothing that makes that make sense to a person unless you're like really watching the game and like looking at the difference in lineups and rotations, um and making it a point to observe those types of things. There's no stat for, yeah, I like my presence fucks up defenses. Like there's no space on the box score for that, you know what I'm saying? Elena is okay. She has a math problem. Agreed. She's not 100% recovered, and she does have a math problem. Um, let's see what else. Rothstein says, "Is Dom available tomorrow?" Tempo played fast versus Storm. They don't have solid 3 shooters, but have cutters and slashers. Dawson playing more is the reason why they're playing slow, but Dom is different. Let's see if Dom is available. I just pulled up an injury report a second ago. For Seattle Storm, Ezzy Magbegor out, right foot injury. Taina Mare out, coach's decision. Dominique Malonga out, concussion protocol. Taylor Terry out, coach's decision. Dallas Wings, Alicia Clark probable injury/illness, left arm. Awak out, injury/illness, right wrist. Yeah, Awak was wearing a wrist brace at practice today, and she wasn't even fully participating. Um, she was very clearly doing drills to see if she could learn to dribble and control the ball with her left hand. So prayers up for Awak. Whatever y'all do, manifestation, prayer, whatever. Just we want Awak to get back to 100% as quickly as possible. All right. So on that note, let's go to Coach's interview from yesterday. So his interview from yesterday was longer than the one from today, but we're gonna start with the one from yesterday, um, because it is kind of connected to some of the stuff that we talked about today. Where is it? See, this is why I like having my clips together before we start. But for anyone just joining, the Wi-Fi cut out and I had to refresh everything. And so all my clips got emptied out. And now I'm having trouble finding them. That's the one from today. Where's the one from yesterday? Did I not upload it? Hold on. All right. I think I might not have uploaded it. Or if I did, I accidentally deleted it. So, what we're going to do, I was trying to see if I had another cable here next to me. I'm going to get these in Google Drive. Um, Actually, no. You know what'll be faster? Okay, I know the audio from this mic is not as good. However, it will allow me to use this other cable to hurry up and get these videos onto my computer. So I'm gonna see what y'all are saying in the chat while I'm um, getting these videos transferred. I gotta have a better plan for next time Wi-Fi goes out. I'm glad this happened though, so at least next time I can kind of plan for this. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, while we are waiting for those to load, Latasha says, overall, I think we have a great team of talented players. There are a couple of teams that are really having issues right now. Legit, this is facts. Um, and I think that's one of the things that whenever I talk about the reasons to be optimistic about the Wings, it's like, yes, they're humble and hungry. Yes, they have a lot of fight, but it's just like the talent on this roster, um, not only the talent, but the talent and the way the talent fits together. Because I think that's something that a lot of people didn't see initially was how do these pieces make sense? Especially like I'll say the group that definitely didn't get it was the group that right after the draft was like, why didn't they draft Olivia Miles? Like, why didn't they draft our fam? Like, what happened there? Um, because there seemed to be a lot of people who really expected that to be um, the picks for Dallas. But like I said before, all the content creators and media personnel who I knew who were actually like covering the Wings, they all knew that AZ was going to be the pick, and they all knew why. And when I asked Kurt Miller about it at training camp, he had an answer, and it wasn't like, oh, well, it wasn't a fluff answer. And what I would consider a fluff answer would be something related to like a personality fit, right? Because you don't want to use a first round draft pick on a personality fit. But like he had legit tactical reasons for why he focused on in terms of like trades and free agency, and why he focused on Atlanta and Jess and Odyssey, in terms of the pieces that he added and why he knew he wanted AZ as the first round draft pick. So, all right, let me copy these videos real quick. All right, those are transferring. I'm not sure how to pronounce your screen name, but said, why do so many people want to make a trade? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, fair. No problem with this team that can't be fixed. I like the different lineups we can put on the floor. Um, so yeah, Coach Jose would agree with you. Coach Jose also likes the different lineups he can put on the floor. Not after the Aces game, but after the game before that, he like was literally like listing some of the people who he felt were like very plug and play pieces that he could put in at different times for different situations. Seems he likes having that versatility. But as for why so many people want to make a trade, I would say you kind of answered it with your response of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Um, and by that I mean I think they think it's broken. Like they don't look at it as something that's not broken that they're trying to fix. They think it's broken. The people who want to trade Arike think Arike is broken. Um, and so that's just it's like I was saying, it's a difference of opinion. You can't argue facts, right? So if people are mad that Enrique is shooting 33%, hey, she's shooting 33%, and that is making people mad. Um, but how you interpret those numbers, what you do with them, what they mean to you, that's where people might differ. So this was May 30th page, and I will rename coaches another time. All right, so we can take this out, put this back in here. Okay, and we're back to the good mic. And I'm gonna bring up this video of Coach from yesterday.
How you doing?
Good, good. I guess I'll start.
Sure.
So the fans seem to be kind of obsessed with who you're starting and who you're not. But when you talk about the roster, it seems more like a situational thing. So do you think that's something that the fans are putting like way too much weight on, or is there some tactical weight that it carries for you?
I really don't know how to answer that one. I mean, we had we started the same lineup for how many games? 7?
Like 7.
Yeah. 7. Okay. And I spoke last time, right? Last game.
Yeah.
About who was going to start before the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fans would like for me to say towards that question, or what you would like me to say towards that question. We started the same lineup for 7 games. Lana was out. Arike made a game time decision, but Daisy was going to start regardless. And as you saw, that she deserved to start, and the way that her minutes progressed, we got her to that point. And she had a wonderful evening the other day against Vegas.
Basketball is
Okay, so I definitely kind of jumped on top of a landmine asking that question. Um, this was another question where I kind of knew what his perspective might be in terms of, like, essentially my question was, does the starting position actually mean anything to you? Because just from listening to different things that Coach Jose says, it feels like a lot of people who are really big on AZ needs to start immediately, they looked at it as she deserved a starting spot. And based on her talent, 100%. But one, he's considering more than simply her skill set. Two, I got the idea that for Coach Jose, it's more of like a situational thing and what makes sense for the team and what makes sense in terms of matchups, not like a promotion demotion thing, the way fans look at it. And so essentially, instead of me just offering my opinion over and over again on that, I just wanted him on the record to say what his thoughts were. So when he was like, I don't know how you want me to answer that, I'm gonna just make it known now. I never have a certain way that I want somebody to answer a question. I might have in my mind what I think they'll say, and sometimes that backfires. Like when I asked AZ how she was handling the ball screens, because she had mentioned at training camp that that was one of the things that she was adjusting to, and I did not expect her to be like, I thought we could be physical in the WNBA. And I was in that press conference and I was half asleep and my brain was like, the fuck did she just say? But that was a moment where I did not see that answer coming at all. Um, but yeah, to ask coach about lineups and rotations is taking a risk. But I just wanted his opinion on how invested fans are in that and what his actually thought what his actual thoughts are, because like even when AZ wasn't starting, she was putting up starter minutes. She's playing 20 plus minutes, I think 30 minutes, 30 plus minutes in one of the games where she didn't start. I think it might have been the Liberty game, so I'm just like, all right, she didn't start, but look at her minutes, look at her points. And like there were even somebody was like, how's the feel of the offense going to change now that AZ starting and not coming off the bench? And I'm like, it probably won't change that much because they're used to her being on the floor for so much of the game. And not only that, but Coach Jose, he'll start somebody, and by 7.5 minutes into the first quarter, they'll be on the bench. So it's just like, I don't know. It just felt like a lot of hoopla, and I'm glad that she got her starting spot. I'm glad that people could celebrate that. But like, I just felt like a lot of the meaning applied to it, and a lot of the judgments cast on Coach Jose over it, which it was just overkill. That was my opinion, and so now we have his answer.
So often a game of matchups, right? And it's less about who starts and who finishes and about how the matchups go.
Right.
How are you continuing to get this team to buy into their roles, maybe being different game in and game out?
Yeah, I think it's, you saw who was on the floor the other night when we finished. Right? We finished with P and an AZ, an AC, and a walk, and Jess Shepard. It's probably not, that probably wasn't on anybody's bingo card, right? But Lana was out, and Arike wasn't at full strength that night. She gave it a go, and AC was instrumental in us closing out that game because there's a calmness to her on the offensive end of the floor. She moves the ball, right? She's always in good spacing, and defensively she's in the right spots. Where a walk can pick and pop, she can stretch the floor, she's a good weak side cutter, and her length bothers people on the defensive end. So that's why we finished with that lineup.
So I just want to shout out one person he just mentioned, Alicia Clark, because I feel like her role in the win over the Aces has just been under discussed. Her presence on the court, and I want to say, I don't want to make stuff up, but I want to say Paige brought it up. But her presence on the court and the veteran guidance and leadership that she's able to bring, not only in the locker room, but also like in the moment, in what was a very high pressure moment. Like the arena is going crazy. The Aces are a tough team. And like, let me tell you something about the Las Vegas Aces, right? This is something that I learned during shoot around, just from talking to them. Their vibe is different. It's like they have a very, we don't give a fuck. We don't need you to like us, and not like in a mean way. That none of them were mean. None of them were mean or rude, but it's just like so many people are like so performative and try to say the right thing and do the right thing and be the right thing, all seemingly in hopes of getting like a certain response or having an interaction go a certain way. And with the Aces, or at least the ones that we talked to, because I mentioned Asia, Chelsea, and Becky Hammond earlier, but I also have some incredible sound from Kennedy Carter that I think I might save for a special segment. But yeah, all of them just had a vibe of like, I don't fucking need you to like me. It's my job to talk to you. So like, let's have a conversation, yada, yada, yada. Um, so I say that to say sometimes that attitude can manifest itself in various ways on the court, especially when certain things happen, like Chelsea Gray getting hit in the face repeatedly. Um, and so yeah, like I feel like Alicia Clark and just the calmness that she brought, the direction that she brought to the offense has not been discussed enough. And I'm glad that he mentioned her just now.
Speaking of,
You're not gonna. You're gonna ask me who I'm gonna start next game.
No.
You guys will know Monday, but I think you guys can figure it out.
speaking of Jess, just what a lot of people.
On who?
Jess.
Oh, Jess.
A
Okay,
lot
yeah.
of, a lot of people are like, whoa, like where is this performance coming from? Like, what did y'all see from her? Making that signing.
Same thing we talked about the other day. Her and Lan were our first two phone calls during the whole process. I've always been a big fan of Jess because of her versatility and how she can handle the ball and create. And I think also, as you know, if you've done the research, I've coached with a lot of really good international players in my time at South Florida. And I think her international experience in playing at Skio and being able to use her versatility and get it off the glass and handle it, now she's bringing a whole different dimension to her game here at the W, being able to do that. Where the way that we play, I think, helps her because or 4 or 5 gets it off the glass, or 2 and 3, and they're starting their offense in transition. So it fits her. So now we got to continue to add things offensively. When she does get it off the glass, what can we get into? Because then people will start to take away those first, second options. So we're looking forward to. And we did some of those things today. So today was awesome because we got to practice and just concerned about us today. And tomorrow we'll talk about Seattle and we'll have shoot around. So it's these type of days that are so vital that when you get them, and now during this stretch, we've gotten them, that we take advantage of those.
You've talked a lot about these back-to-back practices. They get more and more rare as the season goes on.
It's great. We want them. So then you can really retool and you can get better yourself rather than only one day. That one day, you got to get ready for who you're going to play, right?
With just being 8 games in, but also being about a fifth of your season in, has the growth been where you would hope it would be to this point, and what's kind of the next step for this
On the
team?
offensive end, and I don't think offensively, we're number 1 in the league right now. We're leading the league in assists. So I don't know. Maybe the fans don't like that as well. Maybe we're not playing to their liking. But we are 5-3. I think we're doing some very, very good things on that side of the ball, and we can be even better on that side of the ball. But our growth has to be on the defensive end, right? We've got to be able to guard one-on-one, keep the ball in front of us, keep it on the third, defend pick-and-roll situations a lot better than we have been. This team has a lot of really good basketball ahead of them. And they came in with that preparation and focus today.
Offensively,
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. Because he said a couple of things. He complimented Jess again. Jess is getting a lot of compliments today. And he talked about how he was breaking up the practices. So the practices leading up to the Storm game are a lot like the practices leading up to the Vegas game, where they had 2 full days of practice. And the first day he was like, today is focused on us. And then the second day was focused on, okay, what is our game plan against this particular opponent? And so that is one time where we hear him talk about, yeah, we want to do more with Jess getting it off the glass. We want to implement more things. And then when we get to the sound from today, we'll hear him go into more detail about that. Let's see what we have in the chat. Brad says, "You're talking shit to 48 people. You're a joke." Brad, who are you talking to? Are you saying that because there's 48 people watching this live stream? I don't know. I don't like rude people. So I'm gonna just ban you. um, Brad is gone because he's an asshole. Don't be an asshole, y'all. There's no need to be an asshole. If you disagree with something that I'm saying, you can disagree, and I'll either like address it or I won't. And I'll try not to be rude to y'all. But I don't like people hopping in the chat, calling names and being rude to each other. I'm like, let's just have a conversation. Like, bring your stats and facts to the table. We can go back and forth. Like, even this person who says they're not a fan of Kennedy Carter, that's cool. You don't have to be. That's fine. But like the name calling and shit, I don't like that toxic part of sports culture. So yeah, there's a lot of shit that I'll let fly, but like name calling and just being rude for no reason, it'll get you banned. If you care. Some of y'all might not care. Like Brad. Um, let's see. Another question. Ask coach and others, what does it mean to play the game the right way? I would love to hear how different the answers are. Be careful, coach. It looks like he wants all the smoke. I'm gonna have to think of the right way to ask that question. Because that's one of those questions that'll get you a sideways look like, what the fuck are you asking me? Um, we'll do one more. Wait, y'all are going back and forth about Arike, so I'll let y'all keep going with that while we listen to more of Coach.
Team had a lot of success on cuts last game. Just what about this roster stands out to you about the ability to find cutters and also get to space?
You know, good offensive teams are able to have great ball movement, have great player movement, and also get the ball where they want to get it to, right? Especially in matchup situations. But we have the type of roster that we can play so many different ways, and you know, whatever you run is going to look good because of the players that we have on this team that are going to make those shots. So that's a credit, and I'm very fortunate and lucky to be able to work with those guys. It's my job to put them in really good situations. But I've said that with this group has a really high level, high IQ of stuff. The way that we come out of timeouts and the way they can figure stuff out on the floor without me having to call something.
Talk about the communication.
Okay, so just real quick, because somebody was like, yeah, what does coach mean by playing the game the right way? So I think when you listen to what he says about what he's proud of with this team, you start to get clues as to what he considers to be playing the game the right way. So when he talks about the offense, he always talks about having like lots of options. Like he likes to be able to manipulate the matchups in order to find a skill set to counter a skill set. Like I don't know if y'all have ever seen, what is the name of that show? What is the name of that show? It's an anime that I've been watching, and for some reason I can't remember the title. I'm gonna blame it on my ADHD. But anyway, in this particular anime, their special abilities are associated with like different elements, and essentially, it's their Tau circulation, and so essentially, only certain types of abilities can actually impact or impair people with other types of abilities, right? And so sometimes whenever he talks about how he likes to manipulate the matchups, that's what I think of. Like you can be a good player, so to speak, but not be the right match for another good player. Like you have to have the right skills. So that's one thing that he talks about. We can tell that he thinks playing with pace, speed is a good thing. I know something else that he mentioned just now. Either in this video or the one from today, he talks about 3-point shooting and how it opens things up for the offense. So things like that kind of start to give you clues. You just kind of like take notes like, oh, he likes this, he likes this, he likes this.
Are the opportunities for defensive growth, and Maddie mentioned communication as one area that can improve. The communication is so good on the offensive end, it seems like. How do you kind of get those two to balance out?
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you have the ball in your hands and you're going in one direction. But for us to be great, ball's the most important thing regarding guys. It's a multiple efforts and anticipating next plays, and going out and rebounding out of your area. Little by little, something that we're trying to work on every day to improve on.
If the team was to somehow reach the ideal of where you'd like them to be, are you the type to actually tell us that, or would you just raise the bar even higher?
What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, that's why
Just
I asked, because
knowing me.
I think
Just
you would
know-
raise the bar higher. I think
Yeah.
the question, if we ask, is always going to be we got to work on X, Y, Z.
The biggest thing is, I have high expectations for this group, and I think they appreciate that. And that's what, great players. We got a lot of really, really good basketball players on this team. They want to be pushed to be successful, and they want to be told the truth, and they want to be held accountable. So, I'm not going to cheat them for 1 minute of every single day.
So I did ask that question to Coach to try to make him laugh, because I felt like starting off with a question about his lineups, I had to be like, okay, I know you don't know me like that, but just please believe I'm not the enemy. I just looked up the anime that I was talking about, Hell's Paradise. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name of it, but Hell's Paradise is the one. So if you've seen it, you kind of know what I mean. And if you haven't seen it, it's too complicated to explain, but you should watch it.
You've been, I don't want to say surprised, but I guess surprised at the level of fan engagement that exists with this team and the W?
Surprised? No. But I don't know.
You seem to enjoy
What's my public rating today?
We'll put out a poll.
Does it fluctuate? I get a lot of pictures and text messages sent to me, and I just laugh. Okay, but it's all right. I'm fine.
That's great. Thank you. Thank
All right,
you.
guys.
So that last question, Melissa asked if he was surprised by just the fan investment into his decisions with the team and whatnot. And he did just kind of laugh it off. But I'm commenting on what he said at the end, because he was like, yeah, I get a lot of pictures and text messages. So sometimes coaches, players, they will try to stay off social media, but then they'll have friends and family members who will send them a screenshot like, oh my God, did you see this? Can you believe what they're saying about you? Oh, it's so wrong. It's so terrible. And if you just so happen to be a friend or family member of a professional athlete or coach or trainer who's for some reason watching my content, don't do that. If these people are trying to stay on social media, they're doing it for a reason, and it's for a very good reason. There's nothing good for them there. Don't start sending them stuff from social media. Don't do that. It is not helping anybody. If it upsets you, then just, I don't know, find a support group, another circle of friends, but they don't need to have that in their head too. But I'm glad that he can laugh at it. All right, that said, let's go to his video from today. Okay, I'll start. So there's a lot of speculation about what this matchup with the Storm is going to look like. What matchups are you particularly looking forward to?
Well, the biggest thing for us, and we got to make sure we do a good job defending one-on-one and keeping the perimeter players in front of us. And that's something that we talked about in the LA game, being able to contain the dribble, keep the ball in front of us, and guard one-on-one, and making sure when we do get beat off the bounce, where our help comes from.
Is that what you think will be the biggest challenge from this Storm?
Well, I mean, they got some dynamic guys that can score. I think they run some really good action, right? When they shoot the ball really well, over, I'm sure you know the percentage that they do. They've won all their games. So, I just think we got to make sure we guard and we're solid defensively. I'd like for us, we're playing so well offensively, to play at a faster pace.
When you look at their front court, obviously there may be some pieces missing tomorrow, but how big is rebounding an emphasis going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. I know Dom's been going through what she's been going through in SE, but With Dolson inside, you got to be able to guard her, keep her off the glass, and defend her out in the arc. And with Awa, probably her minutes increasing as her getting more comfortable. We know what she can do. So rebounding is always huge for us because if we can hold teams to 1 and out, that means we can play on the other end.
Coach, since the message you relayed to your team.
What?
Since you have relayed the message to your team about the selfishness, they have stepped up ever since then. You guys beat the defending champs in preseason. You beat them at home. It seems like Atlanta Dream is the only team that matches.
We're so past that, and I've talked about that. I think I'm really pleased with how we're sharing the ball. We're playing for one another, and we're getting better defensively.
How much was a walkover for you over the last couple of days about this?
Well, you saw her today. She didn't practice today, and she's still being evaluated.
Alicia Clark also did not participate today.
Correct. So we're evaluating her as well.
All right, so just highlighting again what he just said about Owak. Owak is being evaluated, and then he said that Alicia Clark was being evaluated. So since then, Owak has been ruled out for, it's 11:30 for tomorrow night, and Alicia Clark, on the other hand, is probable. Did they tell you your rating today?
Not yet. It's a little early.
Okay, we gotta wait till
120
later.
on a Sunday.
They should color code it like the air pollution alerts. Keep it simple.
It's a great idea. How do you like our bright colors today?
I actually do like them.
How can we get
It's the
one?
first time we've worn these together
hopefully
as a
they're good
staff.
luck.
Yeah. So.
When you play faster, are there any particular situations you're looking for that, like off of makes, off of
Makes, misses all the time. If we can get to our spots and then get into our secondary actions. When we get great rim runs and the slots are filled and the corners are filled, and then we can get into the actions that we want to get to, we're really, really efficient. We just try to score on that first side. It's not the best one, and that sometimes the percentages go down a little bit. So, if we can continue to that be our strength, transition-wise, and then executing in the half court. But, I think Seattle runs a lot of actions that, will focus on us having to guard and having us to defend and making sure we make the right rotations.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. It seems like Seattle wants to play in the half court offensively and make teams guard for a majority of the shot clock. What kind of challenge does that present for you guys as you're still amping up your half court defense?
Yeah, it's key. It's very, very important. That's going to be one of the main keys to the game tomorrow.
Are you planning on using the same lineup that you used against the Aces? The starting five that you had?
I guess you'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Going back to what she asked about the half court defense, I know you typically coach defense first, but it seems like the way that your offense plays with pace is going to be something that could really challenge them. Is that something you talked about?
Yeah, that's something that we, making sure that we attack and we're not attacking all the time on the offensive end. But again, if we don't get what we want in transition, let's make sure we execute in the half court.
The Wings are currently leading.
Okay, so we'll pause right there for just a second, because the reason why I asked that question was because there's a difference between a defense first mentality and a defense only mentality, obviously. And even the question that I asked Asia Wilson, for those of y'all who watch my shorts, y'all saw before the Wings game, I'd asked her about the loss to the Sparks, and she mentioned defense as the reason. And it was interesting to me because both teams scored really high. It just seemed like the Sparks just scored more, and so it just kind of, to me at least, it presents a question of not which is more important, because like defense is always going to be more important technically, but it's like, what's the ratio? How much emphasis do you put on one thing over another? And so for the Wings, once again, defense first. However, I do feel that against for this game against the Storm, there should be a heavy emphasis put on offense, just because for this particular matchup, what the Wings pace can actually do in terms of impacting the momentum of the game and the way the rest of the game goes, because it's kind of like in football where it's like, if you get up by a certain number of points, the opposing team will try to adjust their strategy, right? It's kind of like how like in what one of the things that happens a lot of times is like, if a team ends up down, especially by multiple possessions, they'll start passing the ball more, um or if you take away their passing game, but then they also struggle with the run, that's how you then get up. But then you force them to pass the ball, which they're not doing well at, right? Like, there's so much you can manipulate just by getting a certain number of points, by getting ahead by a certain number of points, right? And so that's kind of what I was thinking about, was just like, yeah, defense first, by all means. But the way that playing with pace, that playing with speed, that getting a lead early, which is something that can happen. Like, if you're literally getting more possessions per quarter because of how fast you play, um, like, yeah, that could impact the way they make decisions, the way they discuss things in the huddle, so on and so forth.
League in 3-point percentage after being last in that category a year ago. How important is 3-point success to your team
Huge.
without getting too reliant on it?
Huge, because if you shoot the ball well from three, it opens up driving lanes and it opens up, the post. So, but I think we got some really good 3-point shooters, and I think the shots that we're taking are really good shots from three as well.
Just how has maybe the shot quality overall improved throughout the first 8 games? And
I've been pleased with it, and let's continue to do that. That's good.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you in the chat, because like I'm trying to listen to Coach, but I'm also like reading this conversation y'all are having about Arike. For those of you in the chat saying trade Arike, trade her for who? And this is why I'm asking, because like in NFL circles, that's always the follow-up question. But I feel like the conversation of contracts and money, and asset management in that sense comes up a lot more in those circles. Whereas in the WNBA, I think money has been such a small part of the conversation that it's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, trade that person, da da da. But it's like, nah, now we're talking about differences that could be over a mil sometimes, depending on, who you're talking about trading for who. Now we actually have to talk about salary cap. Now we actually have to talk about who's in a contract year, so on and so forth. So if y'all have anything to add about how that trade should actually look, because like it's easy to say trade Arike just because you don't like the fact that she's shooting 33%. She's shooting 33%. You don't like it. You want somebody more efficient on the team. Cool. Get on Sport Track and let me know how you see that happening. I'm curious. All right. We're going to get into Paige's sound and then we'll be out of here.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Paige, your debut jersey just set a record for game-worn, authenticated jerseys in women's sports. Can you talk about just how that speaks to the way this game has grown? People are willing to make that kind of financial investment to own a piece of history?
Yeah, that's insane to me, just thinking about it. It's crazy because that much money is insane to me. And I'm just very grateful and feeling very blessed and fortunate that people are that invested in women's sports. And people have been supporting. You can see the rise in popularity, the growth in respect. And it just means so much because I was just a little kid growing up watching the Minnesota Lynx, and I didn't get to watch them on national television. If I wanted to go see them play, I would have to go to a game, and not everybody is that fortunate and has that ability to do that.
So just to be a part of the rise right now, you just are extremely grateful for it, and you don't want to take it for granted and think that you're entitled to anything. And just every single day we get to play the game that we love in front of people that support us and in front of people that support women's basketball, women's sports in general. It's a good day to be alive, so I'm very grateful for that.
You're so consistent in your humility. Last year we saw you constantly deflecting every record you set, but the fact that it was your jersey, you take a moment and just, of all of the great players that have played, you own that mark now.
Yeah, and like I talked about before, I think that, like, records are meant to be broken. And it's an honor to be the first to do something, because that means so many people after you're going to do it, and somebody after me is going to break that record. So to just be a part of that history means a lot. And I can't even imagine, like, I wouldn't even pay $10 for my own jerseys. Like, so, but that's
it's like your rookie salary.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to put into words. Just how humble and grounded it makes me. Just to be thankful for where I am.
Okay, I'm pausing that one because that was hilarious. Paige said she wouldn't pay $10 for that jersey, and somebody said, "What? Actually, I don't actually know how much they paid for that jersey. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna say Paige jerseys sold and see if the number comes up." Okay, Paige Bueckers' WNBA debut jersey sells for a record $64,720. That, yeah, that's a good chunk of money. Like, obviously, we've heard of sports paraphernalia going for more, but she said she wouldn't pay $10 for it. I'm also pausing it because y'all are in the chat going crazy. But I just want to respond to the person who said that's the GM's job as far as figuring out the trade. You're right. It is the GM's job. And often GMs make decisions that we don't agree with or didn't anticipate. Cool. All I'm saying is that if that's what you think the solution is, go ahead and flesh it out for people, because in order for it to be a legitimate solution, you have to, like, let it play out. You got to actually know the people's contracts. You got to know the dollars and cents behind this, as well as that person's stats, I should say. So it's like, you got to find somebody who's shooting better than 33% at Arike's position, who would be a legitimate trade. Like, the contract makes sense, fits under the salary cap, so on and so forth. Like, you obviously don't have to do it, like, right now. What I'm really pointing out is, like, this is where these conversations have to start going. If we want to be, like, intelligent sports fans who are actually having a conversation about the team and not just like, we don't like a player, so get him off our team. Because this is something that happens a lot with coaches too, right? Whereas, like, a lot of fans, they don't have the patience to understand how teams get developed, how they grow, and the way that they express that they don't like their performance, their team's performance, is fire the coach. And firing the coach might not be the solution. It might not even make sense. But it's like, basically, that's just become a lot of sports fans' social media way of saying, I want my team to perform better. Fire the coach. Get rid of him. People were doing that with Arsenal in the Premier League, like, all season. Oh, fire Mikel Arteta. Arsenal's literally champions now. But they didn't like how the team was playing early in the season. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, like, let's make this a real conversation. Like, if we're saying trade Arike, like, all right, let's keep going. Let's have the conversation. Who we trading her for? What's the numbers looking like?
What are some ways the team is able to utilize 2 practice days before playing Seattle?
Yeah, it's good to have 2 preparation days, because one day we can actually focus on ourselves and get better. It's hard to get better throughout the season when you're playing a different team on any given night. So we have to go through scouts and learn tendencies. It's hard to actually get better on what we want to improve on. So to have the first day where we're just completely focused on ourselves and the stuff that we need to clean up and get better after the game. Then tomorrow will be a preparation day. Looking forward to Seattle, and then we'll have a true round to prepare as well. So for us to have these days where we actually have a rest day as well, a rest day in the front of it. So a rest day, us day, and then a prepare day. I think that's a really good sequence to have.
Paige, what's the vibe like with the team right now? Are y'all just feeling, like, confident off these 2 wins? Y'all still have a chip on your shoulder a little bit?
I feel like we're just humble and hungry. We're not getting complacent. We're not entitled to us starting off with a 5-3 record and think that's going to carry us throughout the entire season. So we're just focused on getting better from day to day. We've been having really good practices where we're competing, we're talking, we're communicating, we're trying to get better. We work as individuals. So it's just really fun to be around that many workers and that many people who are competing to want to be perfect and competing for sustained and continued excellence.
Y'all have talked a lot about learning from the losses, but what do you learn from those wins?
I've talked about it before. You much rather win or learn in a win than learn in a loss, but there's so much room for improvement and things that we can clean up at. But there's also things that we've gotten a lot better at as the season has progressed and our chemistry's growing. We've had different people step up. Obviously, Reek was sick last game, Land was out, so we had different people step up. Just having that depth and having AC come in and give us huge minutes. Kay's been great off the bench, and Za and Ho and just everybody, Maddie, everybody who stepped up. And obviously we talk about Jess and AZ and Reek and those guys putting up huge numbers and having amazing games. But just for us to be so selfless in who's going to play on that night, whose night is going to be, and learn to win and play in different ways, and be versatile in that in different lineups and learning how to play with and off of each other. I think we've grown a lot in that.
Speaking of Land, what have you made of how?
All right, so I just want to comment on her last answer to that because, I asked her what she learned from those wins. And I was looking for something specific. She started off non-specific, but I think one of the things that stood out that was more specific was she talked about the impact of AC on the floor, because I think that's something that is going to be essential, especially while a walk is out, which hopefully won't be long. But I do think while a walk is out, AC and her tangibles as well, obviously. Like, I think AC showed that while she has a different skill set than a walk, she can score, she can be effective on defense. And I mean, hell, she might just need more time with that rotation herself, and she starts impressing us in similar ways. But like I said, the leadership and direction that she provided while she was on the floor, I think is going to be essential, especially while they're missing a piece like a walk. And JCG, I'm not sure if you were talking to me when you were saying like why do you think I don't like Arike or something like that. I'm not scrolling back up that far, but it's not that I necessarily think that you don't like Arike. What I'm saying is the reason why I'm trying to move this conversation forward is because for a lot of people who say trade Arike, and I'm not talking just here, this is something that I see on other people's streams. This is something that I see on Twitter, so on and so forth. But a lot of people who say trade Arike is that they just don't like her on the team and they don't have anything in mind in terms of what that would actually look like. So I'm just saying, it's like, if you trade her, you're bringing somebody on. And so, yeah, you do have to think about, is that person a good fit? Will the contract work? Does it work for the salary cap? So on and so forth. So that's all I'm saying. Not saying that you in particular don't like Arike. I'm just saying, while we're all here having the conversation, let's move the conversation past who does or doesn't like Arike, even if it's not you. As for me, says, is it safe to say Paige will be a coach one day? I don't know, because I feel like by the time she retires, she's gonna have the kind of status and money to where she could go into broadcasting easily and do something else. So I don't know if she'll be a coach, but like her mic presence is on point. Like, every time she steps to the mic, I'm just like, I know she gonna say something that can be the headline. Like, I know she gonna say something that can be the thumbnail text, Like, I don't know who's doing her media training, but like, she been killing it with the sound bites this season.
She's just fought through some of this early season adversity.
Yeah, she's just a fighter. She's a competitor. She just wants to win, and for her, it's like, how can she bring wins? And that's all she really cares about. And I know, like, she just, obviously being out with that little illness, obviously it wasn't great, but she's just going to be right back in the gym, and she's a workhorse, and she just comes into the gym with a positive attitude and staying in communication, just to have that veteran presence. Regardless of made or missed shots, she carries a huge presence on the team defensively, and being our anchor and being our communicator and our leader that way. So basketball is so much more than made and missed shots and how many points you score, but to have her on the floor, there's a lot of stuff that you don't see behind the scenes that really make an impact on women's basketball.
And this one, go ahead.
Paige has scored 20 or more in the last 2 games. Just what are some of the things you're seeing that's leading to her success on the offensive end?
Her being aggressive and hunting shots, looking for shots, not waiting for the game and for shots to find her. She's being aggressive and putting her foot forward and doing that. And just her movement without the ball. It's tough to guard so many actions and just to have to guard screening, coming off of screens, coming off of staggers, coming off of singles, and then getting out in transition and running the floor, running to the three-point line and having her feet and hands ready immediately on the catch. And we told her, like she was hesitant the first couple of games, and we told her she needs like a split-second airspace to get her shot off, and we all believe it's going in. So to have that confidence in her, have that confidence in herself, she's only growing and getting better.
This kind of relates to an earlier question about just the growth of the game, but it's been almost 5 years since NIL started. Just how have you seen that contribute to the growth of the game and change the sport?
Yeah, it's just like transformational, and like you see so like I feel like women's sports and especially college, like it's huge. Like it's bigger than the men sometimes in terms of like who's in commercials and who's on national TV and who's getting talked about on social media, and to have like to be a talking point in NBA shows or in NBA Today and stuff like that, to where it's become a norm. It's really cool to see because we feel like there's so many amazing women who have paved the way that didn't get the same NIL opportunities that we have. So to be a part of that, we're extremely grateful for it. But just like, again, so many more opportunities for us to grow as women and grow and build our brands before we reach the W, because before, like the WNBA contracts weren't something that you could live off of for an entire year. So to be able to build that and have that coming out of college, I think it's really huge.
With that exposure.
All right, this is about to be Paige's last answer, but I just wanted to piggyback on that. I agree that NIL has done so much for the women's game, because one of the most significant things that it did, in my opinion, was it helped women to find their own brand appeal. Like for the longest time, like women's teams, especially when it came to basketball, they were just like an accessory to the men's team. You know, like if your basketball team was the Bears, the women's team was the Lady Bears, and whoever sponsored the men's team, I'm talking about on the college level, whoever sponsored the men's team, you know, they would give a little bit more to also have their advertising at the women's games or on the women's jerseys. And the WNBA seemed to follow that model early on. You know, it's like they were trying to attract the same sponsors as the men's team. They didn't really seem like they were trying to engage with the WNBA fans or find those fans or find that audience. It really, I won't even just say it felt like I would say if you read some of the interviews and read some of the things that were written about purchasing a WNBA team at the time, it was definitely looked at as like, oh, this is a way to get tax breaks because it's not going to make any money. You know, it was almost looked at as a charity as opposed to its own thing that could go and thrive. And I think what NIL did was it gave a lot of these women athletes who had a presence on social media, it gave them the opportunity to actually start putting themselves out there even more and work with brands that their fans also enjoy using or patronizing, you know. And it kind of helped people understand, professionals who really should have known better, professionals who should have been researching the stuff way earlier, but like we know how things go with like researching anything related to women in this country. I digress. But it was almost like for the first time people were seeing like, what is the appeal of women athletes? Who do they appeal to? Who flocks to them? Who works well with them? Like, what is the marketing ecosystem for women athletes, and how can we actually make that work in a way that makes like a good product for fans and just good content for fans? So NIL, yes, definitely did a lot for women athletes of all sports.
I don't know if you saw Asia's quotes about the way the fans kind of get into their personal business and all those things. With that exposure becomes more fans and more growth of the game. You obviously have a very dedicated fan base that cares deeply about you, not just as a basketball player, as a person. How do you balance kind of that fame and that exposure with, I mean, you're a pretty private person in general.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it gets annoying. Like sometimes it gets annoying. Like people constantly in your business, the paranoia of always being recorded, knowing like every single move you make is going to get analyzed. And like on the human side, like it's not something ideal and something that you want to deal with, but pressure, like with pressure is a privilege, and to have that and to have so many people look up to me, I really take that with like pride. I have 3 little siblings, so I've always wanted to be a great role model and could be somebody that people look up to. And so I just don't want it to be like a, yes, like it comes with this business, it comes with being in the entertainment business, and I want to trade it for the world. But to also be a human at the end of the day and understand like some things aren't normal and it's okay to not be perfect, it's okay to make mistakes, and just live through that and try. I've become a person who really cares about other people's opinions of myself, to let go of that a little bit and to know who I am as a person and to be confident in that and to just really care about the people around me, and lose myself in other people in the way that I care, in the way that I'm genuine, in the way that I want to live my life, like a Christ-like life. At the end of the day, you're extremely grateful for it, but there's always a other side to it, but you don't want to take that for granted.
Going
Yeah.
from
Go ahead. Good?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
I was about to follow up on that towards the end. So one of the things that y'all don't usually see in these videos is that off to the side there's a PR person that is listening to our questions and also says when we're done. And so we had talked to Paige for, it wasn't quite 10 minutes, but it was a while because her last couple of answers were long. They were great answers. That's not a complaint, but she had a lot to say and she got it out. Um, and what I wanted to follow up with was, I think a couple of episodes ago, I talked to y'all about something she had told to Miles. I forget his last name, but he covers the Liberty. But while they were up there, he had asked her just about officiating women, because this was after she got the technical foul for clapping, and she had a really thorough response about how women are officiated differently when they're very physical players or when they're emoting. Like, it just seems like referees don't handle that the same way as they handle male athletes. um and I asked Becky Hammond about that too. She had a, her answer basically supported Paige's. Um, but what I wanted to ask Paige was, considering everything she had just talked about with the growth of the game and how crazy it is that her jersey went for that much money, and just talking about the support, how does she reconcile that with the fact that society still has such a long way to go when it comes to how they treat and view women in general? So I don't know. It probably would have been another long answer. And I think Caroline knew that. And that's why she was like, Paige is done. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get back around to it. But as far as what she said about social media, 100% agree. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be in Paige's shoes. I think also a couple of days ago, um, I made the reference on here about like, how would you feel if you had a bad day at work and you came home and it was Wings players in your living room and they were like, so you had a rough day at work, I see. Looks like you didn't wake up on time, didn't have breakfast, and got to work late. Have you thought about setting an alarm? Because I feel like sometimes when we ask them questions about losses and they're like, first of all, they're still trying to process a loss. They haven't watched film, they haven't done nothing. And we ask them dumbass questions like, so what was happening with the missed shots tonight? They're like, well, we missed some shots. Like, we need to go to practice and we're gonna, like, what the fuck am I supposed to say that, right? Um, and so yeah, I do feel like it's comparable to like if you had a rough day at work and you get home and it's Wings players in your living room, like, yeah, so why can't you seem to get up in time if you feel like your career is important to you? It just doesn't make sense that you can't do what's necessary to perform well at work, right? But the thing about the sports world is that the media coverage is necessary to generate the interest that allows them to do things like sign a historic CBA that they just signed, right? Because a lot of that money is based on media rights. And a lot of media rights are based on interest. And a lot of interest is based on not only who won, who lost, who has what skill set, but also just like, who do you like? Who has a certain personality? Like, what team is just fun to watch? Like, what are some of the storylines happening behind the scenes? What's the chemistry like? Who's friends with who? Um, there's a bonus clip of Isaiah. I'm like, we finally got a smile out of Isaiah, but it'll play after I'm done with the stream tonight. Um, but it's kind of connected to the people that she's usually in a group with at practice. Anyway, I say all this to say, to go back to the example of Wings players in your living room asking you about a rough day at work. It would be the equivalent if you were like, I hate people in my living room asking me about why I didn't do well at work today. Like, leave me the hell alone. But then somebody's like, yeah, but if you let us ask you questions, we can multiply your annual wages by like 400 or 500%. You're gonna think of it differently. The shit might be annoying, but you're gonna be like, yeah, but that's 500%. Like, think about, it doesn't have to be what they make. Think about whatever you make annually, whatever your job is, whatever you do, whatever gigs you do. Think about if you could multiply that by 5. If you let people ask you annoying ass questions and deal with the fact that people are gonna want to know way more about you than you want them to know. But would you figure out a way to handle it? There should still be barriers, right? Like, we don't want no stalkers. But as for the annoying questions and, the fan fiction and whatever the fuck else goes on Twitter, you might be like, all right, I'm gonna just take a deep breath and learn how to deal with it. I got recognized in public one time, and that shit was weird and kind of scary. I can't imagine what it must be like to be Paige. Somebody who was there today was like, "Oh yeah, I was hoping we'd get to talk to Paige today. I wanted to ask her about being at the game 7 last night." And I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't think she would have wanted to answer that. I don't think she would have wanted to talk about that. I don't think she wanted to be on camera while she was at that game, honestly. But for now, it is what it is. A while back, me and this was back when I had a co-host, we had a set of principles that we called ethical fangirling. Because we were like, fangirls get a bad rap. But it's not that fangirls are bad. It's just that they're crazy people who are also fans. I might have to bring that back for a future episode. Um, did who ask for picks, JCG? The person who was there today? Nah, like, as media, asking for picks will get us banned. And plus it's just weird. Like, last year I didn't get to go to practices and stuff. I just didn't have time. It didn't work well with my schedule. So I didn't go to most practices, never went to shoot around, right? But now that I'm getting to go more often, one, I'm realizing things that I need to work on in terms of just like questions that I ask and how I approach the scrum, how I approach press conferences. So that's pretty dope. Just being able to not only see where I need to improve, but also get opportunities to practice that. Um, but you get so used to talking to them, it's like you don't even think about it in that way anymore. Like, oh wow, I should get a picture. Like, this is, like, I try to get pictures when I'm at the games just because, like, hey, it's game day. Like, put it in my Instagram story. But yeah, asking for autographs, asking for pictures. I don't I can't think of a single media member who's ever even brought it up, like trying to find a way to do it. It's just not something that they do. Oh, the person that recognized me? No. Did they? No, I don't think they did. Plus, I was looking bummy as fuck. I was at a car wash. Like, I was at a car wash. So, like, hair back, no foundation. I don't even think I had my eyebrows done. It was so weird. And they walked up to my car. And so I'm thinking I gotta defend myself. Like, I'm thinking I need to reach in the glove compartment. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, you know. But yeah, this person like approached my car, like, oh yeah, you're Jasmine. I've seen you on YouTube. And I'm just like, yeah. And he's like, I really like your show. I'm like, yeah, okay. The fuck away from my car. Um, so yeah, just if y'all see me in public, at least just announce yourself at a safe distance. At least just be like, "Oh hey, Jazz from Bitches Love Sports. I like your show." Like, do that before you're in arm's reach of me. Okay, so this has not been the best stream between the Wi-Fi going out and the conversation constantly getting derailed by conversations about Arike. I'm not a fan. But I think after it's over, I can at least edit out the part where the Wi-Fi went out. And I do appreciate all of y'all who stuck around. But what I want to do right now is go ahead and give away some memberships. So make sure you have everything connected to where you can. Let's see. It says chat disconnected. I might have to refresh this. Hold on. Just make sure you have everything set up to where you can receive gifts from my channel. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and now I can give away some memberships. So with the memberships, whatever content I get from shoot around, you'll get to see it. So even if it's something that I don't use in the show, like the interview that we did with Becky Hammond or Kennedy Carter, Isaiah, Alicia Clark, a lot of that wasn't used in the show, but stuff like that is stuff that I will share to anybody who's a member. So you can go ahead and sign up to be a member. Um, or maybe you'll be one of the lucky people who wins a membership right now. So, oh, and just by the way, YouTube picks who gets these. I don't pick. Like it literally says in the terms and conditions, like community guidelines, it's like there's no way for me to pick. So I don't know what it's based on entirely, but whoever gets these, this is who YouTube says needs to be my first members. Okay. All right. So let's go here. Nope, not that one. This is the one. All right. And go. I wonder if it's going to tell me who it is. Okay, so we got Lost in Translation Podcast, DC for Life, TME Greatness, Marcella 4040, and DC for Life Gilly. They all received gift memberships. I was hoping it would be people who were in the chat. So we can only give away so many per month. So if you didn't get one, I'll give some more away. Well, I guess since we only have so many, I wonder when does the month start over? Because today is May 31st. I'm gonna see if I can just give away some more and then just get some more next month. All right, 5 more going out. Oh, dope. JCG, you got one. And then a few other people who are still not in the chat. So I did see in my analytics that a lot of people are watching on TV. So if you're watching on TV, I completely forgive you. I watch stuff on TV too sometimes, and it's just hard to participate in the chat when you're watching on a smart TV. So I got my first 10 members. I hope y'all love the content. If you want to see the content that I put out tomorrow and after that, then just join, because even these free memberships, they're good for a month. So even these folks, if they want to keep getting the content, they will have to at some point join. But yeah, depending on how this goes and how much y'all like it, we'll add more levels, we'll add more content, and just thanks for helping me grow the channel. I appreciate y'all tremendously, and I want to keep going. Even as I haven't done Cowboys content in a while, but once the Cowboys season gets going again, we're going to have more Cowboys content. There's a lot to talk about with the World Cup coming to town. It's literally going to be 20 minutes away from me. The World Cup is going to be happening 6 minutes away from where the Dallas Wings play. And between that and the fan festivals, I just don't know what that's going to do to traffic. This summer is going to be fucking bananas, y'all. Fucking bananas. Speaking of bananas, I got some emojis that I'm going to share in here. So yeah, between the World Cup, NFL news, obviously everything that's happening with the Wings, Cowboys news, and some interviews that I have lined up, there's just a lot of good content coming from me for you guys. So I'm glad that y'all are here for it. And I always remember the day ones. I think by now we're a day 2s and 3s, but y'all get what I'm saying. Anyway, on that note, I'm supposed to be on restricted minutes, and I can already tell I won't have a voice tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and get the fuck out of here. This has been a special episode of Bitches Love Sports. I'm your host, Jazz Monet, and I'm out. Good night, y'all. Are y'all y'all practicing Italian today?
Yes, for sure. The coach guy is definitely teaching us a little bit of everything. So, we're just trying to do numbers right now.
Okay.
Yes.
So you trying to work your way up to fluency, or?
Yeah. Lee teach me some a little bit. I'm gonna get Coach teach me some. So, you know what I'm saying? Just a little dabble into some.
Okay.